We have a very exciting topic. No, it's not twerking, just kidding. It's something very, very serious. It's debunking the myth of stem cell donation. So this is a follow-up to the swab event that we had earlier for 2 to 6. And this forms the other segment of the day, which is a panel discussion. And I know that most of you are here for the after party, right? But guess what? We've got to get through this part first. You've got to learn some stuff because this is very important. I am really, we're here to discuss a very important topic. But before we do so, I'd like to tell you who I am, just a little bit. I'm Dorothy Vernon Brown, for those of you who don't know me. I am with Donor Drive for Dorothy. I am the Vice Chair and Marketing Director. I am a leukemia survivor. And in fact, the 27th of March marks my 2nd birthday, so I'm only 2, okay? Since my stem cell transplant. So we're here to talk a little bit around because there is a connection with stem cell donation and a stem cell transplant, and you'll learn a little bit more about that. So that's enough about me, but I have what I'd like to call an esteemed panel of men. Well, at my choice, just kidding, Glenn. We're here to discuss a very, very important subject that impacts many families each and every day. As a matter of fact, many of you in this room have been personally touched. If not, you know of families that have been touched by a very, very horrible disease called cancer. But today our focus is on blood cancers and blood-related disorders. We want to shine a spotlight on stem cell donation and how that can be a possible cure or lengthen the lives of many patients that have been stricken or afflicted with this kind of cancer. The discussion will, as I said earlier, debunk the myth of stem cell donation, because I know a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about it. But I'm very excited to introduce the panelists to you. We are very competent people on this panel, some subject matter experts, and some people have walked the journey, and some people who are out there each and every day in the trenches, really working on behalf of patients and families. So before we begin the discussion though, I want to establish some outcomes for our discussion. So when you leave here, you're a little bit more educated. So we would like to, at the end of this discussion, that we all walk away with a clear understanding of what stem cells are and the role that they play in our bodies. We also want to establish why stem cells can cure or lengthen the lives of patients with blood-related disorders. We want to talk about the importance of donating stem cells and the impact on patients and their families, and absolutely want to debunk some of those myths that surround stem cell donation. I'm going to ask for a timekeeper in the audience. We are going to have 45 minutes of a panel discussion, and then there will be 15 minutes of question and answer from you, the audience. Make a note of the questions that you have for any of our panelists, and at the end of the 45 minutes, we'll jump right into Q&A. So who will be my timekeeper? Can I get a volunteer? And thank you for Fearless and from Donor Drive, Dorothy. Thank you very much for being a timekeeper. So at this point, let me introduce our panelists. So to my right is Mr. Tom Wong. Tom, I really hate this because I don't like when people introduce me as a stem cell recipient, because I'm more than that. So Tom, I know you're more than that, but that's the nature of the beast right here, not right now. So Tom was diagnosed with MDS in 2014. 2015. Oh wow, and then you had a transplant in August of 2015, wow, so that was pretty quick. So Tom is almost a 2-year survivor of a transplant. But beyond that, Tom is a product analyst at Royal Bank of Canada, but he's currently on a leave of absence to take care of his health. So we know Tom is going to really pull through. But Tom has become an advocate for stem cell donation, particularly in the Asian community, because we know the underrepresentation in all ethnic communities. So thank you, Tom, for championing stem cell donation in your community. It always takes someone like you to do something like that. And next to Tom is Cheston Beckford. We certainly don't want to say you're the husband of Sonia Bedford, but that's how it is. We don't really want to identify you as a husband, but that's it. And Sonia is the honoree for today's swap event. But Cheston and Sonia have been married for over 24 years after meeting in the summer of 1988. So they've been they're as old as the 70s, most of an after party. Just kidding. But Cheston is a dedicated family man and cares deeply for his wife. And that I know from first-hand experience, just watching them and watching him care for his wife through sickness and when through remission as well. So we're happy to have you on the panel, Cheston, to just speak to you. So now Dr. Mark Minden is next, our next panelist. And I have to read you, Dr. Minden. It's so funny. He happens to be my PhD doctor as well, but when I asked for the bio, this is what Dr. Minden wrote. Okay, Dr. Minden says, listen, this is the funniest part, I love it. That's why I love Dr. Minden so much. He has a great sense of humor. He escaped to Baltimore at 6 weeks. Even then, he knew what was coming. Okay? I hope that didn't get over your heads. So he's an American, right? So, but he grew up in Hamilton. He did his medical degree and PhD in Toronto, and then he went back to Boston where he studied at Harvard and MIT for 2.5 years. He returned to Toronto in late 1982 and has been here ever since. He works in the area of leukemia as a clinician and scientist, and he's interested in identifying how leukemia develops, so are we, Doc, and identify means of improving the treatment. So we're happy to have you here as well. And last, and certainly not least, we have Chris Van Doorn, who happened, it's his birthday today. Shout out to Chris. Happy birthday, Chris. You look like 60. Something else. Chris is the territory manager of OneMatch Stem Cell and Marrow Network, which is owned and operated by the Canadian Blood Services. Chris has been with CBS for over 13 years in various roles in donor recruitment, including stem cell and cord blood. Chris works out of the Ancaster office. Chris says he's very passionate in his role, knowing that the work he does each day gives 800 Canadian patients waiting for a match a better chance. So thank you very much for that, Chris. So here you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed panelists. But I would like to recognize you, our audience members. I know you are going to contribute as much as we are going to learn. So let's get started. So people hear the term stem cell or bone marrow and instantly think that you're asking them to remove a bone or a kidney or a heart. So to you, Dr. Minden, please explain what are stem cells, where they're found, and how important they are to our bodies.
Thank you, Dorothy. In the blood cell system, we have something called the hematopoietic stem cell. And this is the cell that's in your bone marrow. And when it divides, can divide into different pathways. And eventually, the progeny and its children become our red cells, our platelets, and our white cells that keep us going. The stem cell itself is a really rare cell that only divides every once in a while, but then its progeny divide extensively. And in the normal individual, we have maybe 1,000 stem cells active at a time. The stem cell is protected by and large because it doesn't divide very much, but every once in a while it gets damaged. And that damage causes it to alter what it can become. So it doesn't become a normal red cell anymore, it doesn't become a normal white cell, but it becomes an immature cell that can grow but doesn't differentiate. And so now you have a competition going on between this damaged stem cell and the normal stem cells. And over time, the damaged stem cell can take over the whole body. And at that time, we then recognize that the patient has a disease such as leukemia or MDS or myelofibrosis or some other bone marrow disease. So the problem that now exists is that the individual doesn't have normal stem cells to make red cells, white cells, platelets. And so the patient is tired because they don't have enough red cells going through their body carrying oxygen. They have bruising and bleeding because their platelets aren't high enough. And they're prone to infection because of the lack of normal white cells to fight off bacteria and viruses. These people, in order to be cured, many of them, require an elimination, killing off of that damaged stem cell and replacement of that damaged stem cell with a normal stem cell. And that is done through a stem cell transplant. The stem cell transplant doesn't require a person to have the donor to have a bone marrow done. Because what we've learned to do is to, what are we doing now? Okay. Okay, so in transplants, they're going to be adults. The way we get the stem cells and give to the patient is by giving the donor a growth factor called nucleus or CSF. And that causes the normal stem cells in their bone marrow to move into the blood. And then we collect from the blood the stem cells that are needed, and those are then given just like you do with transfusion through the vein. The stem cells in the bag, they home back to the bone marrow, back to their niche, back to where they're comfortable, back to where the proteins they require for their survival are, and they settle out there and they replace the damaged bone marrow with new bone marrow. And patients who have undergone a bone marrow transplant recover and can live a very normal type of life. Now, the 15% who require a bone marrow donation are predominantly children. And that's because the bone marrow seems to provide a better graft in children than in adults. Or there's a preferential benefit for using a bone marrow graft for children, which we don't see in the adult population. So I hope I've been clear about the nature of the hematopoietic stem cell, the blood-forming stem cell, and the problem that arises when it becomes damaged, and how, in many cases, to cure the individual, we have to replace the damaged stem cell with somebody else's normal stem cell.
Thank you, Dr. Minden. That I think was pretty insightful and clear. So this question goes to Tom and then Cheston. Prior to your illness, Tom, were you aware of this whole dynamics around stem cell and how it worked in the body? And that question to you, Cheston, as well, before Sonia's illness, were you aware, were you ever conscious about all of what's happening right here and now?
Whether or not I was aware of the functionality of stem cells before I was diagnosed, I would have to say no. But I was aware of the complexity of what blood does. So I knew that it wasn't just my system not making enough of what it needed. It was much more complicated than that.
For me, I was totally lost. I remember when we had visited Oshawa Hospital and we were sitting in the room and I see the sign that says chemo daycare. So I said to my wife, why are we here? And the process started thinking, in terms of the stem cell, I had no clue. But over the years, I get to learn and understand what it's all about and what we need to do today to get that stem cell for her.
I'm sure you're not alone now, Cheston, because most of us, if we weren't affected by this, would have zero clue around stem cells in the nation and how the impact it has on patients in need. So this has certainly been a really educational experience for us. Chris, we're not leaving you alone. So with Tom, Cheston, and I said we're a minority, part of what we call the minority group in Canada. Tell us about some of us know, but explain to us the extent of the underrepresentation of minority groups in the Canadian Blood Services Registry.
So currently the OneMatch registry has about 420,000 people on it here in Canada. 70% of those are Caucasian. So the other 30% are the other minority groups. So an example would be blacks, for example, only have about 5,500 people on the Canadian registry compared to 280,000 Caucasians. So when we have...
Repeat that number again.
So 5,500 blacks and 280,000 Caucasians. Having said that though, the number of patients waiting for a match right now is about 800. Half of those patients are Caucasian. So the minority groups are still underrepresented for sure. So what we need to do is we need to get more minorities onto the registry to help give those people a chance. So about, like I said, there's about 400 Caucasian patients right now. Out of those, the other 400 that are waiting for a match, about 33 of them are black. So it's pretty high.